after following the portal from Felix's apartment to the cave where you appeared and then murdered a family of animals. After that interaction, you were helped out of the cave by the Mujrifa orcs, who have invited you to a meal at their encampment on the beach. They are excited to hear about your adventures. They're excited to share theirs with you, and that's where we are. So, I think Lachlan and Rax were swimming in the ocean.
Yes.
Indeed.
Roll initiative. I'm kidding.
Awesome. New dice, who this? 17.
Lujut is talking to Mujrifa. He's like, how long has your team been adventuring together?
Couple months in this organization. We've had, I've known Opal for a couple years now. Jaron for about a year and a half. Eclipse, know him, but, a year or so. Then we happened upon, our Shatter Kai friend, and the Rax just last week. Yeah. So not long.
What were you doing in the Cataplebis den?
Well, funny story. We were trying to find out what happened to a halfling worker at the library, and, bada, yada, yada, yada. We ended up in the Cataplebis bin. We were trying to follow the clues, and somebody said, don't follow the clues, so we obviously invoked a circle of transportation to go where they went, and I think it was a trap.
It sounds like a trap.
Yeah. Looking back now, there were a lot of flags. Yeah, I was not on my best.
Hindsight and all that.
Yeah. Well,
been there.
Yeah, live and learn.
It's hard being a leader when so many things in this world are so dangerous. But you seem to be keeping them together.
Yeah, we're doing okay. I'm kind of proud of, some of them.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
Well, we are really, really excited to not be dying.
Always good?
Yeah, we're big fans of that.
I think the meal that we've prepared, there's plenty to go around, so you're all welcome to join us for that.
That was very gracious of you. We appreciate it.
As you kind of follow him toward this, what looks like a big circle that the orcs have started to form with a bonfire in the middle of it, you see people kind of putting down their work and systematically shutting down their little projects and things, and all coming to congregate around this fire. Swimmers, you see everyone kind of go in that direction if you want to follow.
Want to head back in?
Okay.
We'll come back. Hey, Rax.
No more swimming?
The guards treat you okay?
Yeah, they just ask the same question over and over.
Did you bite anybody?
No,
Why not?
I didn't know I was okay.
Did you want to?
Yeah.
Alright. I'm sorry. Glad you're back.
Glad to be back.
Good to be seen.
I need a box soon. Let's go.
So you join the orcs in their circle. They all kind of sit down, legs crossed, hands on their knees. Looks like this is kind of their ritual for the evening meal. And Lujut kind of saunters into the middle of the circle and starts walking around the fire. And he says, "We have some very special guests tonight. As you can all see, the city slickers have joined us out here. And I want you to show them the same kindness that you would want to be shown. I know you will. But before we get to the meal, and you see some of the orcs like bringing big slabs of like filleted fish and some wild vegetables gathered from the area being toted in baskets and things. Before we start and partake of our meal with our new friends, we would like to share some of our history with you guys, if that's all right. And a few other orcs like jump up from outside the circle and run into the middle, all carrying different items. Some of them are carrying like sticks and rocks and things, and some of them are carrying like bones, leaves, things like that. And he kind of directs your attention over to the flat surface of a big boulder nearby. As the sun is just kind of sinking below the horizon, it's getting dark. You start to see some stars appearing, and the shadows of the orcs kind of moving in front of the fire can be seen, large projections on this big flat rock face. And he says, long ago, we were, as a tribe, very much like many of the other orcs on the Sword Coast. Warlike, savage, easy to anger. These were traditions that were handed down to us for as long as time can be remembered. But we came to realize that it was not the only way of life that one has to subscribe to. And we decided to follow a different way, a different path. So we set out, we had tamed some of the larger creatures of the sea, and we used them to ride to a new place, a new home that we were not sure we would find, but indeed we did here on the island of Iskra. And as he says this, you see orcs kind of standing around the fire, moving items in and out, so that their shadows are projected onto the big flat rock face. And those shadows kind of take on a life of their own and start playing out this scene. Rudimentary in nature, but animated, so that the shadows themselves start to take on aspects that the objects don't necessarily have. And you see orcish figures riding through the waves and the water of the trackless sea as they battle other creatures that they come into contact with, and finally landing on the shores of Iskra. And as this happens, Luju goes on, and he says, when we arrived on the island, it seemed like an ideal place to live. It was lush. There was plenty to eat. There were no other orcs here to challenge us. So we became people of the island, living off the bounty of the sea and the vegetation that grows here naturally. However, we quickly found that there was a darkness enshrouding the island that came in the form of a ruler from a dark realm. And you see a big figure appear in the shadows, kind of towering over the smaller orcish figures, in the shape of a shrouded, somewhat feathered female figure with glowing ember eyes. and he says, "The Raven Queen, who you may or may not be familiar with, had laid claim to the island long before we arrived. And after being here for a bit, her forces began to torment us. But in our darkest hour, allies appeared in the form of," and he points, and you see a bald female figure appear with a whip-like blade that kind of orbits her body like moths around a candle. And her name was Vostrin. She was a shadow elf. The Raven Queen's forces did their best to eliminate the tribe, but with this Shadar Kai, this shadow elf, with her help as well as the help of her group, who we later came to learn was a rebel faction of shadow elves, who also were looking for a new way of life, and that's why they came here as well. They were children of the Raven Queen, but they were tired of being ruled by her. So in an attempt to find a new place, just as we had tried to find a new place, we became allies in that fight. The Raven Queen's forces, again, just continued to assault us when it became clear that we needed yet a third ally in this fight. And that's when we met the Shrouded Island clan. And at this point, in the shadows appear several feline humanoid figures who appear, and you see a meeting of the three groups occur in this shadow play. And together, they were able to fend off the attacks of these shadow demons and the Raven Queen's wraiths and other things that she sent to the island from the Shadowfell to kill these tribes. Between the three of us, our groups were able to help each other survive for many years. But at a certain point, there was a traitor in our midst who, along with others that he had banded together, betrayed our tribe. That traitor's name was Moondog. Him, along with some others that he had brought together, made a deal with the Raven Queen to basically they would be allowed to live on the island as long as the rest of us were put down. As soon as this betrayal became known to us, we enforced a tradition that we had carried with us from our more warlike days. When there is a traitor, they are cut down where they stand, and their bloodline is not allowed to continue. To our knowledge, Moondog had no family, but if he had, they too would have been executed alongside him. The deal that he made with the Raven Queen was the death note for our tribe, along with the Tabaxi and the rebel Shadar Kai, who we had allied with. The Raven Queen, after making this deal, conscripted an ancient dragon who, under cover of night, came into our camps and eliminated the leadership of all three of our tribes. It was extremely dark times for us. our numbers were decimated, and we had a hard time going on after that. The betrayal, the murder, all of these things, as you can imagine, not so great for morale. And even though our alliance stood, our numbers could not. So we remained in small pockets on the island and just tried to survive day to day. And then, and this went on for centuries, many centuries, in fact, until about 30 years ago, a group not unlike yourselves of adventurers came to us and revealed that they had knowledge of a plan that the Raven Queen was attempting to enact, in which she would be the sole ruler of all realms in the multiverse. She had pulled the strings of these heroes' lives from before they were even born to make sure that they could be used as her weapons in an attempt to rule all realms. At this point, these heroes decided they would not allow that plan to continue, and that they would foil whatever the Raven Queen had planned at any cost. So they traversed the multiverse, going from one realm to another and doing what they could to stop this plan from being carried out. Eventually, they were successful. And in doing so, overthrew the Raven Queen's attempts to spread her darkness to all places in the multiverse. When this happened, she withdrew from the island, and since then has not been her forces have not appeared, she has not appeared, and that's just fine with us. And you see all of this play out in these shadow forms. And over the last 30 years, our numbers have grown. We're starting to rebuild after centuries of oppression from this shadow ruler. The tribe you see now is bigger than it has been in many, many years. And we will continue to be vigilant and to make allies with those who have the same beliefs. And that's our story up to this point. If at this time any of you would like to share your adventures with us, we would love to hear it. Any kind of steps down, and all the orcs, they kind of like slap their knees. This is kind of their form of applause, you would think. And Lujut goes and sits kind of at the head of the circle and gestures for any of you to step forward.
I'll walk up.
And at this point, I'm disguised as like just this young-looking human adventurer.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I step up, I drop it and say, "My name is Eclipse of the Moon of the Shrouded Island Clan."
Lujut perks up at this, and he's like, "We haven't had a lot of contact with your people in a long time."
It's because I am the first exile in hundreds of years.
They decided long ago to isolate themselves, and
Sure.
out of our want to respect those wishes, have not bothered them or reached out to them. But it is a pleasure to have you in our circle.
And it's an honor to be amongst y'all. I was born 20 years ago. My mother died giving birth to me. we suspect that the Raven Queen had a hand in that. My father and my brother disappeared shortly after, and it's been eating at me. I left my clan about 10 years ago in pursuit of my father.
As you're telling the story, there are orcs around the fire who are like doing their best to kind of reenact this, so that your story is told in the shadows as well.
Cool. There was a raven perched above my mother as she was giving birth, and that's why we suspect the Raven Queen had a hand in it. And as I left, I found I summoned my sword. I found this magical weapon that promised me the power that I needed to take her down.
When you produce your hexblade, all the orcs kind of lean forward. They're very fascinated by it.
I have no idea who I made a promise to.
Lujut even looks a little concerned.
Yeah. I'm also a little concerned.
He recognizes what that is and
Really?
knows that it's from the Shadowfell.
Nice. Cool.
Well, he recognizes it as a hexblade.
Okay, yeah.
Not specifically, but
Okay.
he knows what it is. He's seen one before.
It's been a long, frustrating journey. As you can imagine, like, the Raven Queen has completely disappeared. I have found no answers in the past 10 years. So, I became an investigator.
Like, yeah, you see some of the orcs like. you just see these big like on the rock.
Before I became an investigator, however, before I joined my companions, I was a con man in Balustrade, a thief, if you will. I made quite a name for myself with this one famous heist I did.
A heist?
Heist.
Go on.
We have a city watch in Balustrade.
We're familiar with them.
Bunch of just jerk-offs. Always coming down on me for trying to make a coin.
Lujut kind of looks at his like tribesmen, just like. It's like, wait, we think we know what you mean.
Oh, it checks out.
It tracks.
Yeah, they're always coming down on me for just trying to make a buck, trying to just live off the streets, you know?
There's an old saying amongst our tribe. We actually coined it. It goes something like, "Fuck the police. We don't believe in them."
Y'all are very wise.
That's trademark Ujjavar. Idiom.
So I pull my sack from behind, so I like rummaging through it because I'm really proud of this. And so this stays between us. No one can know that I am the man behind this heist.
Any secrets you share in this circle stay in this circle.
Reach in, I pull out a medal.
They all look at it kind of quizzically.
Yeah,
They assume it's something of value, but they wouldn't understand why.
the captain of this Night's Watch was giving me a real hard time. So I took something of his. I show everyone. He was really proud of it. It means nothing to me.
What does it look like?
Cool. A lot of spikes.
Mm-hmm.
World's
Silver?
best dad.
Oh God.
Number one boss.
It is metal, kind of like number one boss. Most heads bashed in the year. Most lockups, something along that line. Silver. It's like a silver sun with like these black ribbons kind of hanging down from it. It's a real mean guy. Yeah, really proud of this. I kind of just flip it.
Bing.
Yeah. If you ever need my services, I can grant you invisibility for up to an hour. Really sticky paws.
4 feet.
And I always get the job done. That is an Eclipse guarantee.
That's an Eclipse guarantee.
Always hustling.
Do I believe either of these two stories I've heard?
Give me some insight.
I roll a 9.
That's a 9.
That's a 9. You have your suspicions, but you just kind of roll with it. Like, whether it's true or not, I mean, he's saying it, you know?
Like, the captain of the Night's Watch, I can't remember his name for the life of me.
Are you asking me as the DM?
Yes.
It's Magog Valifexus,
Cool. Yeah.
whose nephew is the leader of your rival investigation team, Silvercrest Consultants.
Are you done telling your story? Because Jaron wants to start a slow knee clap.
Yeah.
A slow pound.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
That's been my time. You've all been great.
I was super nervous about actually speaking to all y'all. There's a lot of people watching.
Luju kind of gives you like a shallow bow, and he says, "It is always an honor when outsiders share their stories with us. Thank you so much."
Thank you. And if you have the time later, I would like to hear more about the Raven Queen, and if you know anything about this, let's summon a blade again.
He says, we "That's a conversation we can have. Yes. I'd be happy to share what I know. With previous iterations of our people, especially back on the Sword Coast, strength equals power, and brutality equals control. With us,
kind of what this thing is saying to me right now.
knowledge and a remembrance of history is where real power lies."
Wise words. So since I went first, am I allowed to eat at this point?
We typically wait until after,
Can I show
but
respect to
if
customs?
but you look like a hungry boy.
Papa, I really am.
Please help yourself.
Thank you.
Wait, if we all tell stories, we get to eat faster? Okay, so there Rax was. I was back on Shoal with my hatchmate, Zot. He was like brother to me because he was my brother.
He was like brother because of that being my brother.
We did everything together. We killed goblins. We eat goblins. We steal goblins, throw them off cliff into ocean. We hunt dinosaur. We feed goblins to dinosaurs. All of it.
You know, like one do.
Because we had to be best warrior. In the Ironclad tribe, it is tradition that once a year, the strongest warrior in the tribe goes to try to defeat this huge monster called the Iron Jaw. And it's been plaguing our tribe for hundreds of years. And Yacht, Zot, his nickname. He go out to face it, and he not come back. And I hadn't been alone before. It was hard year.
Luju looks understanding at this. He says it isn't easy when one feels betrayed or abandoned. This is why we stick together.
Kind of looking back from the buffet line with like just watery eyes.
Rex,
But
needs a hug.
Rex keep going. Rex not spend much time in camp no more. No Zot, no reason to be there. So Rex keep training. Rex kill goblins. Rex steal goblins, throw goblin off cliff. Rex try to fight dinosaur. Rex feed goblin to dinosaur. All of it.
All of it.
It just not as fun anymore. So I tried to go back day after Zot went and didn't come back. But they tell me no, because I can only go once a year. It's tradition. I don't know. And so I waited. I waited a whole year. Did all the goblin stuff.
While you're telling the story, like the orcs are just having a field day with all this like goblin death. they're just like goblins being like thrown in the air and all this stuff.
And so Rax go out. First Rax actually had to fight Doof, who was other toughest guy in tribe. Rax kicked Doof ass.
Like a couple of the orcs are like,
Rax think Doof was too skinny to fight monster anyway. He like only this big, but Rax this big. Anyway,
you see one of the orcs kind of stands in front of the fire, like just like, kind of puffed up, like real big, and like kind of like Mr. Universe kind of stance, and then another one comes up behind him and puts his arm behind him like a tail. And it's like this is Shadow Rax. Yeah.
So Rax go to a cave on the coast where Ironjaw's supposed to live, and Rax get in there. It's dark, but there's a light up on the wall, kind of like this, and I could see the shadow. Big teeth, big spikes. But I get in, and it's not monster. It just rocks and sticks and shit, just put together. And a light.
Yeah, the orcs like assemble this out of rocks and sticks, and it's just like a 1-for-1 representation.
Yeah, just like that.
Y'all seen Ironjaw before?
Out of game was the shit to hold the rocks and sticks together.
That's what I was thinking. Was that actual feces holding the sticks and rocks together?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I needed to know. That's what mine was. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I know how
poop.
our minds are working.
And there was a group of people, human people, kind of not taste very good. No much better. Sorry. But, wow, now we thinking about no. Sorry.
Reel it in. Come on.
So there Rax was. In cave. With people. And one of them does something like this. And Rax wake up in a box. When I was starting to get drowsy, I heard them say, "This looked like good one. He sell for lots."
The orcs look troubled at this.
I think my tribe maybe sold me.
Streams. While still mouth.
Yeah.
Crying, eating.
But that okay. Because Rax got new tribe now. And Rax think maybe he's not dead. Maybe one day Rax find brother. We eat now. Story.
Thank you so much for sharing your tales with us.
No, I'm keep my tail.
We yeah, I know. Some of the orcs stand up as you finish up your story, and one of them just walks up to you and is like, and embraces you. He says, "You don't just have one new tribe."
Oh, perfect. You have nice arms. You want to play arm tug sometime?
He looks super excited, and some of the other ones, like the bigger bruiser looking ones, are just like, Yeah. We'd love to get in a circle with you.
I've just been surrounded by small people.
If
I play arm tug with them, I pull their arm off.
It's a game we're well familiar with.
A good one.
Now, because we're our heritage is so steeped in war and combat and battle, that is still a part of us, but we use it less now to resolve conflict and more just to stay sharp, so that when groups or other combatants do try to take us on, we still have the ability to protect ourselves.
Also, it's just fun.
You're not wrong. It is fun. But not to the death.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Was it Rax?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. And all the orcs.
Rax does it too because he doesn't know whether or not he's supposed to.
He says, would somebody else like
Tell story now.
to share?
Throw some food at you.
Just go ahead and eat, Rex.
I'd like to say something if I could.
Please do. Please do.
All right, get up. The name's Jaron Spare.
Hi, Jaron.
Thank you very much for having us. It's an unimaginable honor for me to be here. I've heard so much of the Mujrifa. It's just, it's nice to have a safe place to be out here. You know?
The honor is ours.
Really, I want to say thank you to not only just my team, but mostly Mujrifa and Opal for finding me. Where I was, I wasn't in the best of places. Let's just put it that way. You know, I've lived in Balustrade my whole life, and the early years weren't the best. Just kind of been moved around, foster home to foster home. Never really knew the children had parents till I was 5 or 6. That was a rude awakening. I don't know. It was very bleak for a long time till I met a good friend of mine. I was about 13. He had been doing the foster home orphanage circuit just as well. But we got into the same kind of things. We got into making, creating, using our free time in ways that may have been troublesome, but for us, just the act of creating new things, whether or not they be slimes to leave under chairs or stuff to mess with people, stink bombs, boogers. We were little shits, Balustrade street rats. We just kind of stayed together after that. No one really cared to keep track of us, so when we were of age, we decided to just set out together and take the city ourselves. Unfortunately, that left us open to a lot of dangers, maybe more nefarious things. Caught the eye of a couple of powerful people who thought maybe we might be useful to them for making potions, elixirs, drugs. They hired us to make drugs. Poisons, acids, things of that nature. I always knew that it was kind of a nefarious group, but I never really questioned it because we were doing what we loved. We were making decent money. We had a purpose for the first time in a long time. So we kept at it. moved up to a nicer place, still not in the Croft. Seedy things happen down there, so keep it localized.
While you're telling the story, the orcs, you can tell that what they're trying to represent is like, you know, kind of the infrastructure of the city and things like that. They don't really know what that looks like, but the shadows are representing it pretty accurately, which gives you the idea that this shadow play is like magical in some way, because they're getting it right, even though they've never seen it, which is just something to note.
It's really good.
Almost as if your memories are being projected instead of what they are imagining.
We lived that life for a while, and, as most things of that nature do, it turns south pretty quick. With money.
All the orcs look to the south.
Oh, it turned bad. It's a bad situation.
They all kind of
The picture turns south and
Yeah.
it comes back.
Rack's still looking south.
You know,
Go get some fish racks.
he started. We had always, you know, tested our own products just for the sake of making it perfect, but he started getting a little more into it and using things that he thought were helping him be better at his craft, and it ended up driving him crazy. From what I think, we kind of stopped talking. We still worked together, but it wasn't the same, and we got into a particularly nasty fight about a shipment that had supposed to have been shipped the day before but never went out. He told me he was going to settle the score, left, and I hadn't seen him since. Not quite sure if he got sick of doing the same thing over and over, or if he got caught up in some bad business. Maybe he just wanted to go somewhere else, get away from everything. I don't know. I feel partly responsible because it was my idea to get into this business in the first place. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll see him again, but my hopes aren't high, just knowing what he was doing, what he was on. So I kind of hit a downward spiral at that point. I began trying to create things that were way out of my league. Messing with time and space, things like that, way out of my league. So when Mujrifa and Opal found me, it was pretty close to the end of the line for me. I was nearly about to take myself in my life, and half a city block with me. But somehow these two and the rest of my team, they saw something within me that was worth keeping around. And I feel like for the first time since all that happened, I actually have a purpose here. I'm just excited to move forward. Thanks again, Mujrifa, Opal, Rex, Look, Eclipse.
I'm just crying.
Yeah. Like
stopping at this point.
as you're like telling the story, you know, you're kind of like looking down. And you finish up. You look up to thank your friends, and all the orcs are just like, like tears. You see some of the one of the like biggest, most badass looking orc warriors is just like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Lujut actually stands up and walks toward you and puts a hand on your shoulder. And he says, in this circle, we are no strangers to losing brothers. In that sense, you're not alone. Along with your friends, you have many more now. You're always welcome here.
That means the most to me. Thank you.
Yeah, he actually like wipes a tear, and he's
Yeah.
like,
I do too, because I look back and like the shadows are like too real.
Yeah.
They hit me in my feels.
you know, it's never easy. It never gets easier. But looking forward is how we move past what's behind us. And like I said before, among this tribe, you are one of us.
Thank you.
We share loss and look forward. He kind of towers over you, but he kind of bends a knee and to where he's like pretty much eye level with you and just pulls you right in.
And I'll like silent cry.
And like, and he kind of pats your back, and all the orcs are just, wiping a tear. He's like, "Would anybody else like to go?"
Yeah, I'll stand up. Still have the top part of the armor in my hand. Just toss it down. Wipe the noticeable grimace off my face. Look across the group and say, my father was the storyteller, not me. But I'll seek to do him justice and offer you a tale worthy of your hospitality. Every one of his stories began the same. He would look at me and say, well, he'll look at me and now I'll look at you and ask, do you know of the spider in Ansi? Do you know of Coyote? Do you know of the masked god? Sit for a moment and I'll tell you a tale that would bring joy to their mischievous eyes.
All of the orcs lean forward. They are so intrigued by this.
I wish I had my violin. In a land far away, a land of emerald green grass that fades slowly into sand and sea, sat a plateau. But as this is a story, it was no ordinary plateau. The culture that thrived upon it was so extravagant, so exquisite, it was referred to as the City of Splendors. And it was ruled by a ferocious and hateful pride of lions. Sorry, when I tell stories, I sound a little bit like my dad. Their king, because he wanted to be a benevolent ruler, allowed his servants to freely worship him. And the boon they received was there was no violence on the plateau, and slavery was outlawed. But he grew fat and lazy, and he lost control of the young lionlings, so he sent them away. Go see the world, he said. Really, he meant go sow your wild oats and then come back when you've grown up. One particular pack, led by a lion with tufted ears, came to a small village, and they decided to make it their own. They treated the townsfolk like trash. They made them kowtow. They took what they needed, and they quarreled endlessly until one day that quarreling spilled out into the streets, and they destroyed life and limb and house and home. In particular, they destroyed the town's smithy and the husband and wife who ran it. Seeing the catastrophe they had wrought, they slunk away back home. Just at that moment, the raven came home, and he saw his parents' smithy burning, and he saw them dead. And the fire of revenge lit his eyes, and he took to the sky to try to see what had happened. And just at the edge of his vision, he saw the lions slinking away, so he followed them for weeks and for months, until they reached their plateau. he watched especially the pridefulness and the hate from Tufts. But he bided his time. Once they had reached the plateau, he watched them for weeks, seeing where they were weak, watching their patterns, until one day he believed he saw his chance. Perched on a branch, about to dive at Tufts' face, he heard tss from a bush below. He looked down, and a jet black onyx viper was looking up at him. And he heard, "Fool boy, I know what you're doing. He'll eat you in a single bite." And she began to tell him of her life's and her family's history, how they had once been advisors to the king, and how they had helped run Tufts' family slaving business. But when the business was discovered, Tufts' family, having more power, turned on them, laid all the blame at their feet, and had them exiled. Finishing her story, she looked at him and said, "Fool boy, what do you now know of Tufts?" And the raven said, "He's prideful beyond measure and will allow no social slight." Annoyed, she said, And Raven knew his business is illegal. I have a plan. So they spent 2 weeks walking the circuit of the plateau, sitting at campfires at night and spinning stories of how Tufts had become the slave to Raven and his willing servant. And as tongues do, they began to wag, and the story spread like wildfire across the plateau till it reached Tufts' ears. Enraged, he immediately bounded towards the watering hole, roaring the entire way, his powerful paws shaking the ground, his roars sending shivers through the air. Hearing his arrival, Viper slithered out. "Great Lion, how may I assist you today?" "Bring me the raven." And Viper said, "Powerful one, he's on the verge of death. In your graciousness, leave him be." And Lion said, "Bring me the raven." So Viper slithered away, and in a moment returned, leading a hobbling, hacking raven, and carrying an intricately woven blanket and something that jangled. The lion rounded on the raven. "You insignificant flea," he said. "How dare you insult me? You will come with me now and admit your lies and die your death." Raven only went, "I would not survive the ride. Just leave me to die." But perhaps, I could make it if I rode on your back." So the impatient lion scooped him up and placed him on his back. And Raven immediately went, "Ow, ow, there's no way I'll survive the beating. Perhaps if I had something soft to ride upon." And the lion, looking around, snatched the blanket from Viper and put it on his back and set the raven down again. And he immediately began to wobble and almost fell off. Viper said, "I know just the thing." She reached over and grabbed a chain with a loop for his throat and a loop for Raven to hold on to. Lion said, "I won't wear the trappings of slavery. I am a king amongst kings." She said, "It will be as you will, mighty one, but consider, which is more embarrassing, wearing a collar for a moment or hearing his stories for eternity?" "Fine!" he screeched. She put the collar and the chain upon him. Raven grabbed a hold and moaned as Lion took off, bounding, roaring at the top of his lungs, summoning the citizens to the center. They slowly began to fearfully creep out. Noticing this, Raven ceased coughing, raised his chin, put on his most arrogant smile. And he began to pop the chain this way and that, making the lion move to his will. And the citizens saw and they began to snicker. And the laughter crescendoed until one small rabbit child went, "Look, Mommy, it's true, the stories are true. and Lion lost his mind. He screamed so loudly that the fat old king rose from his sleep and bellowed, "Who disturbs me? What is this racket?" Seeing at that point Lion in chains, he says, "And why are you dressed like a slave, boy?" Lion Tufts turns on him and says, "I'm not a slave. This isn't the clothing a slave wears." And Lion says, "How would you know what clothing a slave wears, boy?" And this final social insult drove Tufts over the edge. "Because, old man, my family was selling slaves before you were king and a fat old fool." And the plateau dropped to silence. And in cold anger, the king said, "Confiscate their property. Send them away." And Raven took flight, circling, cawing in delight, the cold, angry fire of the masked god burning in his eyes. That's all I have to offer.
You improv all of that.
The orcs stand up from their sitting positions and they beat their chests loudly. They hoop, they holler. Lujut, as they all sit back down, Lujut is still standing. He says, "We have some great storytellers in this tribe. They would all do well to take a note from you, young Shadow Elf. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your welcome.
It is an honor to have you here. Our people have been allied with yours for centuries, though you may have been gone from them for a long time. I see the same fire in you that I saw in them."
Fire may be there, but my family were human.
Family is who is there for you. This I'm aware of.
Indeed.
Lujut looks over at Mujrifa and he says, "Have you a tail?"
No. You obviously not have a tail.
Again with all the tail talk.
At this, Mujrifa slowly begins to remove all his accoutrement of rangerdom, his bow, and make sure it's unstrung, and his arrows, laying them carefully to his side. He removes his boots and his jacket, and he removes the two holsters where his cleavers are, and he sets them all carefully down until he is just wearing his slacks and his breastplate. And he goes to the fire and takes out a long, thin stick and quenches the fire at the end in the sand, and then begins to look at the sand as he draws pictographs, first a small circle and then other simple lines and then bigger lines, and he begins to speak. "Once there was a boy alone. As he wandered, the boy found a path, and the path seemed friendly, so he followed it. The path broadened to a lane, and then into a lane, and to a byway, and eventually grew into a full-fledged road with markers and turns this way and that. However, having gone this far with the path, the boy figured that he owed it to continue the journey. And the road proved faithful and true, and rewarded the boy by taking him to the gate of a great city. At the gate, the boy met some jolly old men in funny clothes, They seemed very concerned and made him sit down, giving him gifts of meat and sweet drinks that smelled of summer fruits and leaves. And the boy tried to tell them about his friend, the Road, who had brought him there, but they laughed and spoke in a language that he did not understand. After a time, other men came. Being full of meat and drink, the boy happily let the men argue and point at each other, and the new men took the boy's hand and led him into the great city. They took him to the home with others who were alone. Some there had grown bitter and angry, lashing out with fists and teeth. Others extended hands to the boy, offering him a seat and a rug against the cold or a sweet treat that they had saved. Others kept to themselves and preferred to be alone. Over time, the boy grew and learned. He grew strong, though not as strong as some. He learned, though not as wise or smart as others. The men taught him to protect, like themselves, for it was the protectors who had taken him from the gate into the city and who ran the home. Like the path and the road before, the boy, now a man, learned to love the city as a friend and explore all its parts and ways, both day and night, above, below, and in the middle. The man loved the city, and he loved being a protector. Some of the men did not like him, but the man was content. Often the man returned to the home with gifts for the new children who were alone. He would knock a special knock, and joyous cries would rise in the hall and commons and dormitories. The door would burst open, and the children who were alone would embrace him and climb on him and beg him for hugs and treats. However, a few years ago, the man who had been the boy went to the home and knocked his special knock on the door, but no one came. He opened the door, but no one greeted him in the hall either. He walked quietly into the commons where he could hear faint sounds of children. A black dragonborn looked dumbly up from what he was doing. "We were just playing a game. You can play if you want." The man's bags of gifts fell loosely from his arms, his face clouded with anger, fists tightened, and a roar tore from the man's throat. "Wait! You know who my family is! Stop! We'll just call this a big misunderstanding!" cried the Dragonborn. But the man was not there anymore. There was no one to hear or reason with. The next thing the man remembered, he awoke in a cold cell chained to the wall. They told him that it did not matter what he had seen. The Dragonborn had told them that the man had been exchanging gifts for games with the children, and that he had tried to stop the man. Some protectors and men of the gate came with healing and food, but even they told him that he could not protect anymore. They had done all they could just to keep him alive and to get him released with a small bag of gold for his years of service. And then there was a man alone. And then he sets the stick back on the fire, removes his breastplate, and throws it in the fire.
Wow. Ujut stands up. He says, "Here in this circle, we have many reasons to be angry with our past. The things we do in life, while sometimes difficult, are what define us. And what I see right now is a man well-defined. And he steps forward without another word and just embraces you.
Rifa looks up, grabs his arm, and embraces him fully.
After a few moments, and the other orcs are just silent at this. this. Some have tears. Some are just kind of looking at the ground. Some have their eyes closed introspectively. But it's silent. And all you hear is the crackling of the fire and the sounds of the nocturnal insects in their kind of symphony of buzzing and clicking. And after a long embrace, Lujude kind of puts his hands on your shoulders and pushes you at about arm's length. And he says, "You may have only half of our blood, but you have all of what makes us who we are. Never let anyone tell you that you are any less than either half of you. Because what I see is twice as much as most could hope for. You will always be at home in this circle. Thank you." Yeah.
At this point, we'll walk by him, and low enough to where he alone could hear, where Reef alone could hear, would simply say, "He dies. He dies."
No. He will suffer first.
Better. Then, I'd like to try to steal her flask.
You try to do what?
Steal her flask.
Lujude takes his seat at the head of the circle and says, "Tonight has been a night of grand tales. Our histories are not that uncommon. It sounds to me that, like us, each of you come from a place where you were once uncertain, lost, without others to call a family, but that people came together to prop you up. There is only one that we haven't heard from." And he looks over at the rock gnome, who is protecting her flask from the shadow elf.
Well, it is empty, but you can't have it.
It's the principle of the thing.
I'm going.
He says, would you grace us?"
21.
You find it to be empty.
It's like so flustered, trying to talk. Damn it. You may know my friends may know that I'm not from Balustrade. I've spent most of my life along the Sword Coast. Some 100 years ago, started picking up skills and learning on a ship called the Belladonna. And after moving up and making good friends with the captain, eventually became the first mate, and was getting pretty good when in a really unfortunate turn of events, the captain was killed, and I became captain of the Belladonna. Then this was all before I was Opal. I was Captain Banshee. I sailed as captain of the Belladonna for a good 20 years before getting don't want to say bored, but there's a lot of things happening, and there's only so much coast, and eventually made my first mate the captain and started a trading post in Tether. Mostly legal business, but we were good at a lot of things. And after another couple decades, procured another ship, became a captain under a different name, and started stories and rumors about the other ships to build reputation for both of them, which was really wonderful for business, and no one ever gave us any trouble. But the nobles in the town where the trading post was started to get really uneasy, and had their own ideas about what I was and what I wasn't, and wanted me out. But I had a lot of fun sailing, a lot of fun traveling. I lost a lot of friends, but nothing too tragic. People come and go. And eventually had to leave. Got word that they were going to burn down the trading post, since there was nothing that they could do to get me out by other means. And so took all my wares in the cover of night, and I had a crewmate who had told me, and I'd heard of Balustrade before. I didn't think it existed, honestly. He said he'd been there and back, even traded on Iskra. And so when I needed to leave, I took a chance and ended up wrecking my favorite ship on the coast, but ended up here about 10 years ago. Ended up Opal. And so in those 10 years since, I was living with Rustbloods for a while, which was awful. And the few years before I found Rifa, was living with an old blind human in the lofts, who thought that I was there to fix the plumbing. And I stayed for a long time. We conveniently got a shop about the time the human died, which was unfortunate, but we weren't exactly close. And now I'm here. There's been a lot in between, but it's mostly been interesting getting to meet and be on the team with so many different interesting people. But I'm so happy to know you all better.
Did you ever fix it?
What?
Plumbing.
Of course.
Cool. Good to know. Can I call you Captain Banshee?
Not anymore.
Going to.
This is my shocked face.
Luju stands up and kind of walks closer to you, and then sits down on the ground right in front of you and leans down even further so that you are at eye level with each other. And he says, the world does what it can to tell us who we are. It takes a lot of strength to decide for yourself who you are. And even though that changes over time, we must not forget who we once were. Because the past, like so many things, has a way of following us. Your path has led you here, and for that, I am very grateful. But never forget who you once were, and learn from it. Retreat is not always an option. But there is something to be said for a person who makes themselves who they want to be. And he stands up and slaps his thigh.
Captain Banshee.
You gotta sound dope so people don't fight you.
I love it.
And not trying to be quiet about it, but obviously just speaking to you. He says, we've had many adventures on the sea. I wouldn't mind hearing some of yours sometime. As a fellow sailor, perhaps we could share some knowledge. And he says, friends, tribesmen, you've heard the histories and the stories of our new friends. I think it is only appropriate that before we eat and share our meal together, that everyone present would agree that the six of you, I know we would be proud to call you Mujrifa.
Rax could use a new name. Rax Nightshade not sound very good. They're not.
Rax Mujrifa.
See?
If only in
Just Rax.
if only in honorary
Hey, Rex.
form, you are part of this tribe. And you are always welcome here.
This guy constantly honoring us, man. Yes.
Roll for Airsat's dad.
I'd like to stop crying now. Get some food.
Mujrid actually puts a hand on Jaron's shoulder and says, please, join me, join us, and we shall feast.
We shall all stop crying.
You guys make any goblin toast?
Goblin toes.
Oh, yeah, you put them in oil
It's exactly what it sounds like.
and you
You just pop.
Just bum bum.
it's delicious.
And he said, please
Leave the bone in.
eat your fill. Once we've eaten, you're welcome to sleep here with us for the night. I'm sure we could all learn from each other. I won't have you leaving and going back to the city without us imparting some of our knowledge and skills to you. Survival on this island is not easy. We've spent a long time learning how to do that well, and we would be happy to share some of that with you all. But for now, please, eat up. We have drinks, we have food, we'll have some music, and this will certainly be a night that none of us will forget anytime soon. So, please.
Not
join
Rax's
us.
first orc party.
Let's get this guy a tattoo.
And all of the orcs stand up. They beat their chests, and you hear the sound of drums start beating as the orcs kind of start milling around. Some of them are like coming up to you guys, and slapping backs, putting hands on shoulders, embracing. They do their best to be gentle with you, but it's tough for them. just being kind of big and,
It's like a Top Gun volleyball scene.
very much so, very much so. It is on the beach.
No touching Batman.
Yeah, you have won immense respect from the Mujrifa tribe. And you're all welcome to join them in their little beach party.
Eclipse is definitely going to party down.
Yeah.
But we got some fish. Some fish here. Looks like some fresh greens.
And there is plenty of it.
I'll make a little lettuce wrap with some fish in the middle.
One of these big bad looking ones comes over to you, Rax, and he's like, me and some of the guys, we're gonna be having a little sparring match here in a bit if you want to join.
Yeah. As Rax is making a fish wrap with fish in the middle.
Is fish wrapped around fish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like sushi. But like,
Right, Charon. It's not a full
Ultra
implementation.
All right.
And then disguise myself to be like real bulky.
They
Like, still Eclipse, but bulky Eclipse.
they you disguise yourself as a stronger version of
Yeah.
Eclipse.
Like somewhere between Eclipse and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. They kind of laugh, but not in a mocking way. They're just like, if you would like to join us, you are more than welcome.
Tight.
Everybody's just kind of getting down with their stuff.
One rule: no tail pulling.
Oh,
Not
don't
fair 'cause
worry.
you not have tails.
Second. I said
It's a rule we never even considered till now. But we'd love to see what you got. And he kind of shadow boxes you a little bit. I go into a rage.
Shadow.
Is biting okay?
It's a happy rage. So
soft now.
yeah. At that point, Lujut, he kind of fixes, little plate for himself, and another one, and he brings it straight to Mujrifa. And he says, "Would you do me the honor of dining with me?"
Of course.
He's quiet, but he kind of every once in a while, you catch him kind of not glaring at you, but he has almost a curiosity about you. And he says, "Your story is quite touching. You seem like a man who has a lot owed to him, but who has received very little."
Yes, that is definitely a way that some have responded to that. However, I was touched most by your tale of your tribe and the journey to follow the path that they found, and I could not help but feel reflections in the boy's path, and that my suffering has been very small in comparison.
When it comes to the topic of suffering, few comparisons can be made. It is ubiquitous.
That is true, and yet in those echoes we can find connection and allies, and find those who make us feel not so alone, and who join us to at least minimize the suffering of those around us, and to work towards a balance.
You speak like a Mujrifa.
Well,
It is something that we have believed for a long time.
I will take that as a great honor. Some might say that the Ujvar speak like undercrofters with a bigger sky, but yes.
This may be closer to the truth than I know.
Maybe we do have a lot in common.
It seems that you have brought together a team with, whether they knew it or not, similar experiences.
Yes, and the reflections of the original alliances are not lost on me. And I think it is important that we learn, and that I need to set aside my attempts to define myself in one way.
I see in your group a literal reflection of that alliance.
Yes.
The tabaxi that you travel with.
Yeah.
Do you know at which point he discovered the weapon that he carries?
I know that it was after his family left and did not return. I know from what his...
Has he ever spoken of how he found it?
No, not to us.
In the background, you just hear a thunder, and I appear 90 feet in the air with a nuke. We just free fall. Then another thunder, and we're standing there. I was like, and that'll be one go.
You're giving him rides. It's the warlock equivalent of a piggyback ride.
Yeah.
You can only do it twice.
That's cute.
Yep, that's it.
I'm tapped out, boys.
Yep. Sorry, guys.
And I can earn 1 gold a day that way.
It's steady work.
It gets me by.
But he spends the rest of the meal just kind of introspective, but with open ears, in case you have things you'd like to further discuss.
No, although I do want to talk to him about leadership and the challenges of less mature members and how he deals with some of those things. Yeah, but nothing really specific.
Okay, then that is how that conversation continues. He talks about
Touching people turn them invisible weapon, right?
the dynamics of ways to get the best nature, the core goodness, and expertise and skill sets and things. How to foster that. How to bring the best out of your team while emphasizing the importance of them as individuals, and just kind of the typical team leader type stuff, but of course with great dignity and an aged wisdom kind of pervades. The meal continues, the drums continue to play, and the night goes on.
I would like to maybe chat up some of the basket weavers or the snail corrallers.
Yeah, something that should be mentioned is that this entire time, kind of in the background shadows, you just see like the big slow-moving shapes of these flail snails as they just kind of meander around the tribe. Some of the younger orcs of the tribe, they take turns like crawling to the top of the shells and then sliding down the back of them.
Opal, we found an activity for you.
You need to use Rax's side. You do that whenever you want.
And you see one. It looks like a maybe teenage, young adult female orc. She is kind of, while the children are playing on the snails, she is making sure that they don't get caught up and stuck in the slime that they leave, because it hardens quickly into glass. And if you're not careful, if you step in it, you could become trapped. So she's just kind of keeping them off of it, and making sure that's not a problem for them. And she sees you kind of looking at the properties of this material, and she says, "What have you ever seen flail snails before?"
I have not ever seen a flail snail.
They are slow-moving. I wouldn't call them friendly, but docile enough. We feel the need to protect them. As I'm sure you know, their shells are highly valuable. And there aren't many left on the island. Where you come from, do you have creatures like this?
Not in the city. We've got plenty of.
I've never been.
We've got plenty of nasty people, but not creatures this big.
Creatures in another sense.
Yes, exactly. I haven't really spent much time off the bridge just with these guys, really.
Your team are very interesting.
And I know a lot more about them now. I'd say I'm even more interested. Excited to see what the future holds for us.
She extends a hand. She says, "My name's Mythos."
Beau.
Shit got real on Darkest Delve.
Jaron Spare. Nice to meet you.
Jaron Spare.
I saw a bow on the ground. Is that yours?
I think that may be your leader's bow.
It's good save.
She says, "You seem curious about the materials that these things produce."
I am very curious. I was debating whether or not if I took a sample, if it would harden and I would be able to use it.
Well, even though it does kind of crystallize very quickly, it can be melted again with
Really?
extreme heat.
Would you maybe assist me in trying to collect a sample? Is that okay?
Of course.
Just, I've got a little vial here.
As you can see, there's plenty to go around, and she just points at the ground, and there are like paths of glass.
Wow.
That are typically like they wait for it to harden so that they can harvest it, and they just like keep it in these big like clay constructs, almost like big vats, so that they can take it and melt it when they need to.
So this stuff is hard in front of me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Can I bust a chunk of it with like a rock or something and like maybe take it?
Oh yeah, if you do like take a rock and try to buzz her, she's like, let me.
Oh.
And she has on her belt a mallet, basically. It's like a big, it looks like a large stone from maybe like a river. It's like kind of egg-shaped almost, and affixed to. It actually looks like it might be obsidian, but it's extremely smooth, not jagged at all. And it's affixed with sinew and twine and leather to a haft. And the haft itself looks to be made of this glass. And she says, "Here's how we usually do it." And she just gets down on one knee and just pounds it. And from that one hit, there are made several, like 1 foot square chunks of glass.
Yeah.
And it looks like she's got this down to a science of just the right amount of pressure with, she kind of hits it and then pulls back real fast, but it expertly it makes these like triangular shaped shards, and she just takes a few and like stacks them up, like if you were to like take apart pizza and just stack up all the pieces on top of each other, she's like, "You're welcome to all you want.
Thank you so much.
Careful not to cut yourself, though."
Oh, right. I'll get like a handkerchief and just wrap it around. Put it in my bag.
Yeah.
Cool. Snail glass.
Snail glass. She says, "You know, we make weapons out of this stuff."
Right, I was actually very curious about that. I saw someone earlier with a whole bucket full.
Some of the finest edged weapons on the island.
Very curious about the properties of this stuff.
Oh yeah. Y'all aren't getting out of here without some of those.
Thank you very much. I've noticed some of the weaving skills.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very talented.
It's a tradition that we began when we got to the island. You know,
It's such a privilege to learn of you and your culture.
well, I don't know how. I'm sure life in the city is much more exciting, fast-paced than it is out here.
To be honest, I like it out here a little bit. It's more quiet, kind of more time for self-reflection, if you will.
It's a great pastime for us, just thinking about stuff.
And you can see the stars.
I never really thought about it. Can you not see the stars in the city?
Not too often. We don't really see the sky very much unless we're up top.
Seems incredibly sad.
Well, if you don't know it's there, you don't miss it.
I get that.
Don't realize the sky's there.
You don't think about it.
Another orc, elderly, great long silver beard, kind of dressed in like loose like robes. He's got like beads in his hair and things, and he has a walking stick that he uses, and it looks to also be made out of the same snail glass, but he kind of wanders over to you two.
Are you near me? Who's near me?
Who two?
Are you two?
I am standing on the edge of the beach, letting the water
Okay.
crash up around my ankles and pouring wine into a flask.
Well, that's the thing. Is it her flask?
Yeah.
He walks over to you, and he says, "You know, we could put something a little stronger in that if you want."
Oh, I don't actually care for the drink. I've had so little. I'm just really enjoying having the flask.
He says,
Put the flask away.
do you know if the other members of your party might be interested?"
You do know
I
Eclipse
would-
is an alcoholic.
Oh, yeah, I would have. You didn't have to tell me. Yes. Yes, they would. Yes, they would.
I'll go ask them.
Thank you.
And
Actually,
he
you don't have to ask.
he walks over to you, and he says, "Would you care for a drink?"
Dear God, yes.
He claps his hands and he says, "That's what I wanted to hear. Please come with me." And he leads you over to a place by the fire, where he has this kind of big standing, looks like a clay jug, almost like an oversized carafe, you know. And it's got a ladle hanging on the inside of the lip of the jar, and he takes the lid off and pulls the ladle out, and he says, "Let me try some of that."
Try some of it.
It has got kick.
Oh boy.
It is an explosion. He says, "Yeah, we make it from some of the fruits on the island,
Nice.
but it is goddamn like just like it's smooth and biting.
Cask crew.
It has every marker of like wood varnish, cleaning chemicals, like all of these things, and somehow is delicious.
Fantastic. I might. I'll
But it is
definitely-
strong stuff. And he's like, "I would take it easy.
Yeah, I'll need a flask of this, and I'll need to sit down.
Maybe lie down.
Yeah, and you go to feel like for your flask, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, she's been aware the whole time.
Yeah, I've been watching him drink out of it.
During her story, I'm just
So
nah.
yeah, like you kind of forget momentarily.
Yeah.
And you like 'cause it's such a natural motion for Opal to just like
Flask time.
and
Yeah.
it's like, oh right. You look over at him who's down by the beach.
I love me.
And he says, I take it that's yours.
Yes.
Well, and he kind of looks around and he's like, why don't you just have mine? And he reaches into his robe and takes out, again, that kind of aquamarine quartz looking snail glass.
Nice.
And it has a wooden cork in the top of it, wrapped, not unlike these, with like twine and sinew. And he says, I had one of the shaman put a little extra mojo on this one.
Nice.
As long as you drink from it, it'll never be empty.
Oh my god.
And he hiccups. and you take a closer look at him, and you can see like his eyes are kind of bleary. Like he seems like this like seasoned, like wizened, like soulful little guy. But you think he may just be a straight up drunk.
I've never been more grateful for anything in my entire life. Like, after hearing all those stories,
Yeah.
like I'm finally have like a little
This is
tear.
when Opal tears up.
I'm just like,
It's so beautiful.
thank you so much.
And he says, I can always just make another one.
And that's what got Locke his own room.
So, yeah, Eclipse, you're given thunderstep rides.
Yeah. It takes me like an hour to rest and regain those spell slots, so I'm gearing them out. If the old man would like a ride, I'm just gonna assume he does, because I see him giving alcohol to someone, so I'm gonna run up and be like, your turn. Hug him. And just,
Well, how many times have you done it already?
this would be my third time, second time? No.
How many slots do you have?
How many hours? Oh, I only have 2 slots. So every time I give someone a ride, I have to wait an hour to give someone else a ride.
Right.
Every hour. On the hour.
Every hour on the hour.
You come running over to him because you see the drinking going on, and he's like, "Whoa, where'd you come from? How long you been there?"
Been here for 20 years. I came from the island of Iskra. Did you not hear my story?
It's like, he means just right then,
Obviously.
and he's also wasted.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Hey, do you want to touch the stars?
it's like no, I do it nightly, friend.
Opal?
I don't need no.
He says, you know, I used to trade a little bit with the Shrouded Island clan over in the Choke.
Oh, really?
Are they still living out there?
Oh, buddy. I wish I could say.
I understand.
I made a promise.
Yeah, we haven't seen them in a long while.
Same. Hope to visit them soon. I don't even know if they'll let me back in. I'm pretty sure they won't let me back in. This whole business with the Raven Queen, they severely frown upon.
From what I understand, they have their own ways.
We do.
You know, we were allies for a long time. We still are, I would assume. But we haven't had contact with them in a long time.
Well, we're doing good. They're thriving. No ill will towards y'all, so it's good to know. Are you looking to do some trading with Tabaxi? Because
Well, I have plenty to trade. And he just, like, hugs the big jug next to him. And he kind of leans back a little bit and leans forward.
Now I know that guy.
Yeah, you get the sense that like he's not like slurring his speech or anything, but he is about to fall over. He's like, "You want a drink?"
Yes. And I want the whole thing. How do I accomplish this?
Well, I can't give you all of it because a certain amount is required to make more.
Fair.
But I can fill up a wineskin for you
I would love you.
if you got one.
I do. And I pour out
Step right up, Sonny.
the cheap wine. And
As it pour-
prestidigitation to clean the inside because I want to mix.
yeah, as it pours onto the ground, he's like, "Ugh, why would you?"
I wrote a nat 20 on that.
That's a natural 20.
Yeah.
Natural 20. Critical graphic.
So I cleaned it without fail.
That's right. You didn't.
Oh, that's right. You don't
didn't
have
explode yourself.
prestidigitation.
Yeah, I didn't explode myself this time. Yeah.
For everyone else.
Thanks, magical amulet.
Yeah, the wineskin, aside from being clean, now looks brand new.
Yes.
Like it's never had anything put in it.
So amazing and magic.
And he kind of looks around at the ground and picks up a leaf, kind of a broad, round leaf, and he rolls it up into a cone, and then he's like, hold it up for me, and he just uses it like a funnel, and like ladles this like super potent smelling like jet fuel into your wineskin, and he's like, I'd be careful not to drink it all at once.
Yeah, I'll try.
It's absinthe wrong, man. It's
And
hangs.
I started just drinking freely.
He kind of watches you with big eyes. And he's like, all right, we'll see where that takes you.
Wild card.
Gonna steal it.
Give me a Constitution saving throw.
Awesome. 18, a natural 20.
You start just taking it to the face,
Yeah.
and it's just glug 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 glug, and you feel yourself starting to like lean back, and as far as you can tell, you've just sat down and laid back and looked up at the sky. What everyone else sees is that you've just straight up fallen over.
Nice.
But in your mind, that is pillowed by just like it feels like you just sat down and laid down, when in reality you've fallen over.
I'm so good at magic. Thunderstep.
Nothing happens.
And you'd hear from the edge of the beach, they make pills for that!
So this old man is just kind of laughing,
That's awesome.
and he starts to point out all the constellations to you, and he's just going on and on. You get the sense that he's kind of just making it up, but it's still fun to listen to.
I believe everything he's saying.
You all spend some time hanging out with the orcs, kind of on your own time, doing some learning some things from them. It's getting to be pretty late in the night, probably 4 or 5 in the morning at this point, and a lot of the orcs have kind of bowed out to take their sleeping shifts. Kind of simple, like straw mats and things on the ground. They just sleep under the stars. And the fire has dwindled down. And Lujut, he's one of the last ones up. And he says, Mujrifa, I can't thank you enough for spending this time with us. I think we've learned a lot from your team, and I hope that this is the first of many encounters that we have with you.
Yes, I think that we have a lot that we can join together on for the betterment of Iskra.
I agree. think I shall retreat and sleep. You're welcome to do the same. The rest of the orcs, they all bed down, but they don't sleep long. They're up absurdly early for the amount of partying they did, and they seem unfazed by it.
Nice.
Everybody's had a chance to rest, and you are all awakened by the smells of breakfast cooking on the beach. And it's just kind of a, if you're hungry, come and eat kind of thing. You see a lot of the orcs are kind of getting started with their projects for the day. But you're all free to interact with them how you would like.
Sweet. I'm gonna find some mages.
Fine. They do have shaman.
But first, I want to beat Rax to the food because there won't be much left after.
So, okay, you probably have a good start. I imagine Rax probably dug a little hole, like in where the waves were coming at, so that like the waves could kind of like go over him while he slept.
This is like sea turtles on the beach.
Yeah, he's just burrowed, just like nose sticking out of the sand.
I love it.
I will join Eclipse as well.
Okay.
You're going to look for the shamans.
Yes.
Got a couple questions for them as well.
I need help attuning to my magic.
Yeah. How do you approach them?
Huzzah!
Of course.
Kind of they all look up. They're like preparing like the day's like components and things.
Hey, my companion and I were wondering if y'all can share some of y'all's knowledge.
Oh, well, we could trade knowledge. Maybe. I don't know. We just want to chat.
Absolutely, yes. We're welcome to share what we know. If you have the will to learn,
Of course.
Maybe we could learn from you as well.
We'll glance at the components they have out. Just kind of take a look. Oh, I've got some of that with me as well.
What do you normally use?
Oh, well, I take out... Oh, that's the bag of holding. I get my other bag. Open it up and it...
Mm-hmm. They all go, ooh.
This is where I keep the volatiles.
What kind of magic do you use to do that?
It's less magic and more immaculate organization.
Fascinating. You see someone kind of like poking around at it.
Yeah, there's lots of springs and bolts and things.
They're very intrigued by it. Most of their stuff is very simply made, like efficient, strong, sturdy, built to last, but not complex like your stuff is.
So, we sort of do magic a little differently from each other. He's more of a traditional, I cast a spell. For me, it's a little different.
Yeah.
I kind of have to actually ingest the concoction made from the components.
We have many uses for that kind of magic ourselves.
Really?
And they go on to show you some of the stuff that they typically use, and it's not that dissimilar from what you do as an alchemist. You get the sense that their magic is partly kind of like part of their heritage, but also a lot of things that they've had to learn from being on the island and using the natural components that they find around to produce effects on the weave of magic. And most of their magic is based on perception. Not a lot of like magical effects, as much as helping them understand things. Kind of like the way your goggles work.
Right.
But you're able to find the similarities there.
Show me some shortcuts with ingredients that I wouldn't have thought of. I'll show them shortcuts I use.
Mm-hmm.
Peeking around, you just watching.
There's one who's kind of hanging out, and he looks disinterested. He's just kind of sitting by himself, just like...
The emo shaman.
gonna sit next to him.
You orc shaman.
Like, hey, man,
So,
you wanna see something kind of cool?
I mean, I guess.
Awesome. And summon my blade.
He just kind of like looks at it like, what is that?
I have literally no idea.
Steve.
You hear that voice in your head, and it's like, careful.
Why?
Some things are just for us. Be respectful. These people deserve that. But as far as what we have, that's not for them.
You're so wise. So this is my magic sword.
A magic sword.
I can summon it and dismiss it at will.
Whoa.
And you look like the type of guy that's really attuned to his magic.
The other shaman don't. They don't do things the way I do them.
How do you do things?
I much prefer to, instead of using roots and vegetables and sticks, it's
Hey, Sam.
I like to do things a little differently. And he puts his hand out, and you see just a spectral tentacle appear from it, and kind of like rise up, and then he closes it, and it retreats. And he's like, "My shit comes from somewhere else."
My eyes just widen. I think we may have a lot to discuss.
Maybe we do. Maybe we do. He puts on a Smith's record. He's like, "You show me yours and I'll show you mine," kind of thing. Like, and why don't we go over here?
Yeah, that's
And
what I was
you kind of separate from the group.
Yeah.
And
We're gonna
you-
summon Cthulhu.
you
All right, have fun, kids.
you get down with some eldritch shit with him.
Dark ass shit.
Roll for number of Cthulhu's.
So yeah, while you guys are doing that, Rax, you smell the food cooking. Do you just like burst out of the sand?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a sand explosion.
As you do, you see that there are some orcs kind of standing around you, just seemingly just waiting for you to get up. And it's like, "You want to train with us?"
Okay.
Let's go over here.
Okay. I have to check with my boss. He needs to know where I am.
He's like, "Okay, well, just come join us when you're ready."
I'm gonna, start going towards Rifa. See the food. Just stuff his mouth really quick.
Mhm.
And RuPaul.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go train with the orc.
Okay.
You wanna come? It'll be fun. You want fun?
Okay. I'll come with you.
Alright, you want fun. Let go.
Okay. I'm gonna grab a considerably smaller portion of food and eat it carefully from a leaf plate and just kind of follow Rax over.
As you walk over to this, there's probably like 5 or 6 of these like big athletic-looking orcs. You see they're all kind of wrapping their wrists and hands with these like leather strips. He's like, "Why don't you go ahead and get wrapped up?" And they have a basket full of these leather strips.
Yeah, he just wraps it just straight around his hand. Just around the palm.
One of them is like, "Oh, hold on. Let me. You mind?" And he kind of unwraps it, and then starts further down your forearm. And he's like, you want to keep your wrist straight. It's the easy way to fracture a bone if you're not careful.
Oh, that why my arms hurt all the time.
That's why my wrist's always broken.
It's like backwards.
Another one has some strips, and he kind of walks over to you and he's like, you mind?
No, go ahead.
He wraps you up and kind of, and he's like, put one right here. Yeah. And he's like, oh, good technique.
Little training.
And he's like, okay, let me show you how we do things, and then we'll get you involved.
Okay.
You see these two guys kind of square up against each other, and they kind of start circling each other. They look like the way they fight is not unlike like prize fighters. Very almost like a schooled technique of like, this is just how you do it. Like you respect your opponent's like boundaries and abilities and things, and try to kind of feed off of each other. After watching them for a bit, you think you kind of have the sense of how they do things here. And they show you like ways of kind of putting your weight into a punch, using your opponent's weight against them, that kind of thing. You guys can spend a couple hours doing that with them if you want.
Okay, I heard weird rumor one time, and it's probably dumb, but Rax just wonder. They said you live with legs? Because I've been doing this, and it works fine for me.
All of them are like, no. Like, yeah. You gotta keep yourself upright, man. You gotta bend your knees. Keep your feet square.
I'm gonna punch Rax in the face.
Give me the attack roll.
Yes.
You're going for a 14. He's not shielding right now.
17
That hits.
plus 6, so 23.
You connect with this, like, just this bony jawbone. Like just right in the pocket.
Reef is laughing.
And the other orcs are like, oh! It's like, yeah. Usually we let the guy know that we're coming
You guys
up.
fight very different than in the city. That's not how we do things.
Well, take it from us. We know in the heat of a fight, when you're really fighting, that's not how it goes.
No, I'm gonna punch him.
Yeah, you go for
No,
it.
punch him down.
You just look over at
Oh,
Rax,
I do very poorly.
and he just has like lizard eyes.
Yeah.
It's just like you just send him like full primal. He's gonna rage.
Nice.
And he's gonna try to like just snap at Reef.
Okay.
Yes.
Roll initiative.
Literal.
Oh,
I got a 19.
21.
Okay.
Nice.
Rifa, you got first hit.
Well, I already got the first hit.
Well,
But,
you now that you've officially started,
Okay.
you can throw a punch if you want to.
Okay, cool. Then I'm going to throw another punch at him. Ooh, 13.
Just short.
You let one fly. It's good technique, but Rax is a little quicker on his feet than he looks, and he just kind of leans out of it.
He's gonna like kind of lean back and then just try to take a chomp at your hand.
Oh, you're bringing teeth into this?
Well, he better take,
He's raging. He's raging. Yeah.
well, he better take that 4 hit points off.
That was a solid 4. Well, yes, but plus 7. So that I'm bad at math. 11. That is 11.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your first 2 volleys miss each other, and the orcs are kind of giving you guys pointers while you're in the ring. It's like it's like move your feet, lean back, that kind of stuff. And Rifa, it's your hit.
Okay. Oh, I forgot. I get double attacks. I'm going to do 2 for this time.
Yeah, go in for a jab.
18 and 22.
Those hit. For damn.
So that's
Out of
8
nowhere,
damage.
like you lean forward and snap at Rifa. He leans out of the way, and he comes back with just boom, boom, and he just gets you. Where are your hits landing?
Probably his face.
Yeah.
Yeah. His pretty
big old snout.
face.
Yeah. It doesn't not hurt when your fists make contact with his like toothy face. But you're still in the fight. Rax, you take that damage.
Yeah, Rax is he's gonna recklessly just like swing in, good like right here. Mm-hmm. Good right there with his big lizard feet. Damn, same thing, 11 again.
Right in the claves.
He's gonna miss the first one and then go in with another. Damn, Reef was quick apparently. And a 12 that time.
Nope.
Yeah, Rax.
Why are you so fast?
You were really close.
This continues on.
Yeah.
While you guys are sparring with each other, which is something that I've kind of wanted to see the whole time you guys have been on the same team. It's something to watch, and these orcs are just they're getting a kick out of it. While this is happening down the beach a little ways, the magic boys are hanging out with the other magic boys. Opal and Locke. You're able to find another group that is training, but they seem to be less focused on the strength and athleticism that these gladiator types are working on, and they're kind of doing these. They're on the beach just like stretching. Some of them are on the ground, some of them are standing up stretching. But they seem a little more limber, a little lanky, but able, if you guys want to see what they're up to.
Beginning last night, when I noticed that the stories were being depicted in a way that cut through, like I obviously would have noted that the anamorphic stories weren't projected as anamorphic
Right.
on the backdrop. I would have spent the entire evening watching what they were doing, watching how they communicated with each other, and seeing if I could pick up any way that they have to gain insight into other people.
Mm-hmm. Like some of them look to be like done with their stretches, and they're just sitting on the beach, kind of like looking out at the water.
That would work well. I would go join them as I go out, just tossing a piece of silver in the air.
One of them looks over at you, and they say, "Would you like to join us?"
Absolutely.
As you can see, and he points over at the ring where Rax and Mujrifa are squaring off against each other. Sometimes fighting requires strength.
Sometimes.
I find that being watchful and listening is the best way to overcome an opponent. You seem like the latter.
Different situations call for different measures.
Indeed they do. Try this. And he sits up straight, and he puts his arms out in front of him like this. And he says, I want you to listen to the waves breaking on the beach. Listen so intently that you can anticipate when one's going to break, and that you can feel it in your hands.
Oddly enough, I would have spent the 4 hours I was not trancing listening to the waves come rolling in anyway, because there's a lovely bay right outside the plateau.
Yeah. He says, this is a way to anticipate. When your opponent is wasting their energy. They're just broadcasting what they're about to do. This can give you insight. And you both just sit there with your hands out, just listening, eyes closed, waiting. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Great.
Oh, fucking tackles you.
7.
You feel a sharp thump on your chest. You open your eyes, and this orc has just planted the back of his hand right in your chest. And he says, let's try that again. This time, roll insight.
Oh my god. That's a nat 20.
Natural 20. Yeah. This time, with your eyes closed, several seconds pass, and without you really even realizing you've done it, you have his wrist in your hand. And you open your eyes, and he's looking at you like, well done.
I go back up to my boulder, tossing the silver object.
Done mine for the day.
Opal, you see all this going on. You see Locke sitting on the beach with his hands out. You're not sure what this is meant to accomplish. But after a while, you see him get up and leave. This orc kind of looks over at you, and he says, why don't you come sit with me?
All right. Just plop down in the sand.
You seem elsewhere. When you're alone, where do your thoughts typically go?
All over. It's on the next thing.
How often do you really consider the present?
Probably not as often as probably should. Hardly ever, maybe.
I would invite you to try this. And he does the same thing with you. He's like, put your hands out.
No place left, Caleb.
And he says, listen closely to the waves. Instead of trying to anticipate them, try to understand them. Taking things as they come is something that we don't do often enough. Always being concerned with what's next can sometimes muddy the perception of things. Seeing them for what they are, not what they should or could be, is sometimes more helpful. And he says, just sit and listen. And he kind of watches for a moment while you do this, and he can tell you're getting like visibly frustrated. And you're like, every once in a while you just kind of
Yeah.
like, and he's like, why don't we try something else? And he gets up and motions for you to follow him. He says, you seem like maybe having something to fix is more your speed. Having a problem that you can visually identify and understand the workings of things. And he walks you over to where they're, the orcs that work with the snail glass are sitting. And they're preparing their stuff for the day, and you can see that they're actually making items. They're melting glass down, pouring it out in these like long, kind of cylindrical shapes. And he says, "How do you normally set about fixing a problem?"
Depending on the problem, a lot of times it comes down to what you have at your disposal to fix it. I guess there are tools for every problem. Sometimes you have to deal with just what you have, and sometimes you improvise with other things. But I think the first step I usually take in solving anything is try to work with what I have.
Well, what do you have?
I usually have a couple things on me. I get out my little side pouch, and I have small wrenches and things, my broken lock picks, and
Which chips were those on again?
shut up.
Sure.
He takes a look at your stuff, and he's like, I mean, yeah, you can always improvise with what you have, but there is something to be said. There is something to be said for finding things that will last. These look broken.
Yes, these are broken, which is unfortunate because I use them a lot. But you make do.
He kind of picks up the broken lockpick. He looks at it and he kind of examines it for a bit and picks up the other piece. And he can see how it was once constructed. And he's like, this wouldn't be hard to make.
Could we make it?
I think so, yes.
Any chance they could teach me how to make it at a class?
You're welcome to watch.
Okay, I'll take that.
And he hands the pieces to a looks like older female orc, long white hair and braids, and she takes a look at it, and she kind of I got this kind of look, and she takes some of her glassworking tools and materials, and she just goes to work, and she starts making. She has some obsidian, small hammers and things like that, and she just starts kind of working this glass into fine, thin strips, and then takes another obsidian tool. This looks like a almost. It's constructed almost like a large scalpel, and she starts just shaving away at the glass, just a micron at a time kind of thing, until she has shaped an almost identical version of your lockpicks, but out of this glass. And she bundles them up and ties them up with a little strip of leather and hands it to this male orc. And he says, will these do?
Oh, these will be perfect, I think.
They're incredibly hard to break.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Hopefully they'll serve you.
I think so.
Though I think it should be said, having good tools is always suggested. Being clever with them is more useful.
I'll agree.
Keep that in mind. So while you've all kind of taken a moment to learn some things from these orcs, the day is getting on, and you know that it's a long trip back to the city. And it does look like the rest of the tribe is starting to get kind of antsy. They're they're used to moving from place to place on almost a daily basis. And you see a lot of them starting to pack up a lot of their things. The flail snails are outfitted with big kind of like pack materials so that they can carry their things around more easily. And they say, we're headed east. Lujut comes over to you and says, Mujrifa.
Yeah.
And he says, when do you think you'll find yourself out in our direction again?
Well, being how we didn't think we'd find ourselves your direction in the first place, it's hard to say. But we've got a busy week ahead of us, so probably not until after that. But if you hear anything about strange groups of people meeting in the wilds with circles of magic or raising the dead, we've encountered a bunch of, and I'm just going to kind of fill him in on the broad strokes of those things, as well as just mention get out as a drug that be worried about, or I have no idea how they're getting that. But,
recreational poison.
Yeah, but somebody who's going to loose that on the city might be willing to do anything to stop anyone. So just be careful and feel free to let us know. If you can get a message to almost any of the animals in the city, they can carry a message to me.
We do have members who specialize in that.
But other than that, if you know whereabouts you'll be in a week or two, I think.
I can show you.
Oh.
And he gestures for you to follow. And he goes over. He has a big, woven backpack that he carries, and he digs around in it for a bit and pulls out what looks like a big piece of vellum or very finely sanded leather almost, and he rolls it out for you, and it is a spot-on depiction of the island. There are no names on it, but there are visual markers for several different landmarks, including the Sunken Sentinel, the Ebbenclaw Chasm, things like that.
Yeah.
And he points to a spot kind of in the northern section. He says, we typically just hug the coast as we travel. We're usually on the eastern side of the island. When we do go to the western side of the island, this is the route we take. But that's usually only in the colder months. Right now, our travels will keep us close to the shore on the eastern side. If you do need to come looking for us, you can use the method that we talked about. Animal messengers. Most of the animals on the island would be able to tell you. We, make no secret about our presence.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And you also had mentioned about us being able to get some weapons and things from you, and I think my team would really appreciate that.
If you wouldn't mind assembling them, we'll get you outfitted.
But I just used my voice.
Lujut's he digs around his bag. He gives you a ram's horn. And he's like, maybe try this one.
Anybody else hear that?
And then I get it.
And then you get it. Yeah.
News team, assemble!
You all
Very
hear this,
shafari.
and you just look down the beach, and you can see Mujrifa with a horn. He's not that far away.
What?
That tracks.
Yeah?
What do you want?
Come here! Look what I got! I'll give it back.
He is kind of like, oh yeah, you did good. You did good.
You see, I didn't do good at first.
No, but you got it. You
Well, I
know?
got it,
You
yeah.
stuck with it,
I did.
and you know,
Yeah.
when you apply yourself, we can do great things.
Thanks to, I mean,
That's that stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah.
Tenacity.
And
Made up for it.
he says there is something that we would like to give you all before you leave. And he walks over to one of these. You see a few orcs are outfitting one of the flail snails with some like specialized looking kind of quiver type apparati, and he takes out from one of the big pouches a what looks to be a almost like a large kind of tomahawk looking axe. The haft is made from that snail glass, and the handle is wrapped in leather and sinew. But the entire weapon is one piece. And it's that kind of like cloudy aquamarine, almost quartz-looking glass. And he kind of flips it so that the edge is facing up, and he kind of clips his thumb on it, and he says, "These are far better than anything you'll find in the city." You all have your pick. We make weapons of all styles.
okay.
Mujrifa, what would you like?
Oh, if I could get 2 of those tomahawks and say 20 arrows, that'd be sweet.
We don't make arrows.
We got arrowheads.
The arrows, the shaft of the arrow is not made of this glass,
Right.
but the heads are.
Yes.
We can put some of those together for you.
Oh, that'd be great.
And he just hands you the one that's in his hand right now. And you take it. It is immaculately balanced. You get the sense that it could be thrown just as easily as it can be swung. And he says, "You probably need a pair of those, right?"
Yeah. Be pretty sweet.
And he hands you one, and then kind of looks around and gets another one and checks it. He's like, "Yep, that should do you." I'll have some guys assemble some arrows for you as well.
Thank you.
And he walks over to Eclipse, and he says, "Young one, what is your weapon of choice?"
I summon my blade. I'm pretty good on weapons.
He says, "I would be careful with that." You get the sense that he knows exactly what it is, and that it has that it's basically made of shadow magic. And he says, where that comes from is not a good place.
I have been kind of picking that up a little bit, but now it's not the time for me to be afraid of its power.
In certain doses, fear can be useful. But I would recommend being very careful with that. What do you prefer as a secondary weapon?
Honestly, man, I can transform this thing into any weapon. But I have the shield. If you have shields, that'd be cool.
He takes a look at your shield, and he, almost visibly, is just...
I'm trying.
try one of these. And he takes out what looks like it's about this wide, oval shaped. And the engraving on it makes it look almost like a turtle shell.
That's pretty cool.
He says, this can stand up to pretty much anything you put in front of it.
Kind of just look at Rax. I'm pretty sure this will be tested very soon.
See that you make good use of it. And if you come across other members of your tribe, tell them that Mujrifa remembered,
I shall.
and that the Alliance stands.
It's good to hear. And thank you again for your hospitality and the knowledge y'all have imparted.
It is our pleasure and honor.
And I give him a hug.
He hugs you, kind of scratches your head,
Okay.
and pats you on the back real hard.
Yeah. I cough a little blood.
And he steps over to Lachlan, and he says, I know you could make use of these. And he pulls out a separate pouch. It looks like a roll of leather. And he pulls the twine on it, and it unrolls.
It's like my bartender's tools.
It's like a strip of leather, and in it are 6 of these glass daggers. No wrapping on the handles, just plain glass, very minimal in design. He says these because they're designed for throwing, are not as strong as some of the other ones we have. Would you prefer something that swings better, or would you prefer something that throws better?
Those are gorgeous, but I just start reaching in. These are worthwhile. I tend to use them less than hand-to-hand combat weapons.
He rolls them up and puts them away, and he takes out just one. And it's much more elegant looking. It has kind of a curved kind of shape to it, with just almost like an S curve in it. And there's a groove in the center of it. And he says, it isn't normally our style, but if you do find yourself in need of making a blade slightly more lethal, there's a groove for that. And he flips it so that he's holding the blade and hands you the handle. And again, you can tell it is magnificently crafted. And he says, I hope that you would use it to protect, and not in anger.
You will do what I can.
He just hand on the shoulder and kind of gives you a nod. He's not going to hug you like the rest of them.
Thank you.
But he does just give you an assuring kind of squeeze. Opal, was it? Mm-hmm. Or is it Banshee?
It's really not important. Opal's great.
There are some that would say that there's much in a name. I've always preferred the ones we give ourselves. What is it that you might make use of?
I feel like you've given me so much already. I usually...
Your own snail.
My own snail. No.
Living creatures are not to be owned.
Right. I think just a plain dagger, just to have something to take with me. But other than the crossbow, that's about all I use. So.
Perhaps we could make something that would work for that.
Probably.
And he's like, oh, actually. And he turns around and you can hear like the clink of glass like in this pouch. And he's like, ah. And he pulls out a little dagger that's just the correct size. He says, typically, this is what the children of our tribe would use. Not that it's any less
Right.
quality a weapon,
No, that's fine.
but it does seem sized appropriately.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
And it resembles almost like a leaf. The blade does. And you can tell it looks almost decorative. But once you hold it in your hand, you're like, oh, I could do some damage with this.
Decoratively kill you all.
Yeah.
Silly.
He says, I'll have some people assemble some arrows for your bow as well. We'll add it to Mujrifa's order.
Thank you very, very much.
It is a pleasure to have new friends in our camp, and I hope it is not the last time we get to share a meal with you and spend our time around the fire with you.
I hope so was too. I love that. None of those were words. I hope so as well.
He says, aye, aye, Captain.
Starting early, Captain. That take us way.
He comes to Rax, and he kind of, with the backs of both hands, just pats you on the chest. And he says, how about you?
Okay, Rack's been thinking this whole time.
New teeth!
Okay,
Get him a grill.
back on island.
With blades.
We used to make spears, and it would come around, so that way when you stab goblin, you pull all the insides out. When you pull it out, like harpoon kinda, but bigger and more splitting chest bones. You get a good crack when you get in there. That,
You want that good crack?
and then you just pull out all the goblin guts. Very efficient.
Sure.
You have like that?
Dude, it's terrifying.
Yup.
That's awesome.
It's something that we could probably produce by modifying what we have. And he takes out a spear with a long. It's Ujavar sized, so Rax wouldn't have a problem with it. The shaft itself, as he holds it, you can see that it kind of bends in an odd way. It has some give to it. And he says, and the head of the spear is just a triangular shape, kind of like this, a traditional spearhead kind of shape. But he picks it up, kind of weighs it, and he hands it to the one that was helping you out with your lockpicks, and he says, "Can you go?"
Make it gut ripped.
It's like, well, Rax, if you could go with him.
Okay.
if you can show him what it should look like, he can make it for you.
Okay.
I would love it if you didn't use it to rip goblins' guts out.
What else you use it for?
Use it to protect those who are in danger of having their guts ripped out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goblins, notorious gut rippers.
But if you do find someone who is deserving, I'll understand. And a homeboy kind of like gestures for you to follow him.
Cast on Rufadar.
And he says, the potion maker, Jaron Spare. It's been an honor to have you with us.
I could say the same. It's been an honor to be here.
Your story touched me. I would like to provide you with something special. If you have any ideas, I'd love to hear them.
Well, personally, I love what you've done with his dagger there, with that groove. That's really nice. I've got this crossbow I've been trying to use a little better, somewhat like she has. If you could make a bolt with that same groove, I'd be interested in that. But beyond that, I don't really use weapons. I would love some unbreakable flasks, some vials that I could... Well, not unbreakable per se, but less likely to break than the ones I have already.
It should be exceedingly easy to create those for you. It's not the kind of thing we normally use, and from the corner of the crowd that's starting to gather around, you hear a you see the old drunkie, and he's just like
Old drunkie.
and he's like, and Lujut sees him and he's like, yeah, but we can make those.
I mean, you've done so much for us already. I would hate to take something I don't really need.
It shouldn't be a problem at all. We'll get all these items either modified or created before you leave. Do you know what route you'll be taking back to the city?
No, but we are forever away. What is the quickest way?
The fastest one.
Ashko was here.
Climb back into the thing and try to teleport. No. Okay, never mind.
I mean, do you think Koza's incantation would work again?
I don't know. That's not my area.
Nope.
Who?
We would probably just go west as quickly as we can.
Right now, you are on the... you're at the southern end of the island,
Yep.
We're gonna
like
headland,
just east of the chasm. So in the
Yeah.
Forsaken Headland area.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we could even just kind of investigate around this area for clues. That cult said some really nasty words, you know?
Felix did end up here. Felix did end up here.
Yeah. So they have to be somewhere around here.
We also are running low on gigs, and we've been hired.
I also feel like that Felix
Open.
thing was pretty obviously a trap. And
Yeah.
I don't think they would have sent us
Isn't that obvious?
where they were going.
No, it kind of was.
We just go north till we hit the road and take the road up around. We should be able to make it in
Do you have any ideas?
a few days.
You know any routes that we...
Lujut produces that map that he showed you
Yeah.
and lays it on the ground. And it's pretty big. Maybe like 3 by 3 feet. And he points to where you are at the southern end of the island. And he traces his finger in kind of a winding curve up to the raised hills area, and he says, staying away from the chasm until that point would be recommended. This time of year, there are some creatures in that area that you don't want to run into. But past that point, you can hug the chasm and go just directly north in pretty much a straight line until you get to Balustrade.
Cool.
I will make a quick sketch of this map also while I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Landmark and stuff.
And looking at it, you can tell like it's pretty damn accurate. Even the scale is pretty good.
So just from looking at it, how many days could we assume it would take us to get to Belshire?
With that route, probably 3.
Nice. Plenty of time for adventures and shenanigans. My 2 favorite things.
Are you wearing my flask?
What?
Where are you keeping it?
You don't know.
I'd like to shoot Locke.
Uncanny dodge.
Why don't you have this conversation in character?
It's a rogue off!
I draw my crossbow, but I miss.
And I go, what are you talking about?
It was a natural one.
Mm-hmm.
I miss drawing my crossbow. I reach for it and it doesn't come out.
Locke, you feel the bolt of a crossbow go right through your foot. It hurts.
Yep. I don't know what you're talking about.
No? Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll talk about it on the way home.
Opal has basically misfired. She didn't mean to shoot you, but she has.
I'm not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
I'm not even a little bit sorry. Mm-hmm. I'm glad I hit your foot.
Well, guys, we gotta get going if we're gonna make it there before hanging day.
Yes, because we do great work.
We need to get paid.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna get some when we get back.
Before we go, would anyone like to see this new trick I learned?
No.
No.
Moving on.
I kind of would like
I
to see.
wholeheartedly want to
You
see
guys
you use
can-
it on someone.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone for you to use it on.
I'm gonna use it on anyone. I'm just gonna show you. It's really rad.
Let's let it be a surprise.
I like that. That's nice.
You
Also works.
Also,
You-
saving things is good.
you have discarded your breastplate.
Oh yeah, it's a kind of hot mess in the fire thing. Yep.
Lujut addresses you as a group. The items that you that were requested are being brought in, and he's just kind of like handing them out to you guys, just one by one. Gives you very heartfelt farewells, and he says, "Never hesitate. If you need us, Mujrifa knows where to find us. You have our full support when needed."
Okay.
I'm gonna.
And that looks ridiculous.
It's just me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just me, huh?
I'll
Learned something last night.
join you, dude. Rascally faces look just like you. I'm gonna stay next to you.
Oh god.
I'm gonna like punch your chest.
Lujut,
I'm not that short.
his eyes squint, big orcish smile, and he just one good. And when he does it, the entire tribe does it.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. When they do this, it sounds like drums. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's really impressive.
That's frightening.
And they collectively kind of give you all safe travels. Be careful.
Before I go, one last person want to ride? Only
You
one
might
go.
want to save that for. We don't know what we're going to hit. So the island is not the most friendly place.
Does Mujrifa make that suggestion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could take a nap in Rax's arms.
No.
Your money-making ventures are appreciated, but this place sucks, and we will need that.
Take my bolt from Locksfoot.
No, you don't.
Yes.
No, I'll leave it in. I'm defiant.
I like this now.
Can I contest their attempt?
Sure.
What do I have to roll to attempt?
It'd be a dex.
Okay. 16.
17.
Fine. My
The bolt
stays in your foot.
I'm fine.
It okay, Luck. Rifa made my nose bleed.
Right? This is how they say I love you in Jolt.
In Germany.
Rifa also now
It's good
has
for
like
relationship.
now has like a suspicious like tooth necklace.
I've never felt closer to Rex, I've got to say.
Right on.
Yeah, you got kind of a blood brother thing going on.
Arnold Carl Weathers thing.
Yes.
It's okay.
What's the matter, Dylan? The tribe is packed up, and they are all kind of turning their backs, and they're headed east along the shore. The flail snails just seem to kind of know, like, well, that's where we're going. And they start meandering into the distance.
Lejeune! Mama likes you, Lejeune!
Lejeune turns around. He bends over and picks something up off the ground and tosses it to you. It's a stone, about that big. And he just kind of...
Here's a rock.
Thanks.
Nothing says I love you like the rock.
I'm glad someone finally understands that.
He, but before he turns around, he puts his hands up, like. He takes it, gives you a salute.
I'll see you soon.
Honestly, with that, I just tossed the flask back down. Apparently, this is what people do now.
You mean love?
Like,
No.
swat it away.
The orcs make their way down the beach. The sun is high in the sky. It is actually a sunny day on Iskra. It is typically pretty overcast on the island, but today, not the case.
That's all we can.
It is a day for a whistle.
That's what my weapons do.
You are
Is that what you're gonna name it?
you gather yourselves and start making your way north. You travel through the landscape of southern Iskra. As the day goes on, it indeed does become cloudier. A brisk breeze begins to blow, a little misty. You come to a kind of pass where it opens up into a flat clearing. You are in the raised hills, and Eclipse may have seen this part of the island before. Being from elsewhere on the island, you may have seen some of this landscape. As you all kind of come to the top of a ridge, and you can see out across this area, it looks like foothills, but the tops of the hills are completely flat, like these little plateaus all over the place. And you get the idea that this is why they're called the raised hills. It looks like they've all had their tops cut off. They're all kind of covered in what looks like moss and kind of scrubby vegetation. on top of them, you can see flying creatures, these big birds, kind of make their nests on top of these hills. And the valleys that are created in between them look to be running with water, all flowing toward the Ebenclaw Chasm. You make your way through this terrain. Would you prefer to kind of go between the hills, or do you want to kind of crest them?
Well, we're not climbing hills.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm not about to climb a hill.
No.
So you stay in the lowland area.
I will. Cliff can do whatever he wants.
It's a lot of wading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
I hate water. I'm gonna climb up on his shoulders there.
Already there.
The tabaxi tries to climb on your shoulder.
I have 2 shoulders.
I want to straddle the back of your neck though, and I kind of rest my
I have to fight Opal for that spot.
Like shin height water, knee
Waist
height.
deep, usually.
Waist deep.
Yeah.
So shin height.
I've got my
Or like,
bags over my head so they don't get wet.
Yeah, you would need some help.
yeah. So I'll be on Rax's shoulders.
Looking around, you can see that there are lots of materials in the area that if you wanted to make like a little makeshift raft that
They could
Rax
just
could kind of
put
like tow, you know, that would be fun.
That would be fun. You do
Yeah,
it?
it'd be fun. I just wanted it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
A little Opal canoe,
Yeah, sure.
just big enough for one rock gnome.
Yeah. Just sit cross-legged and like do nothing while they
Play your Game Boy.
It's like twiddle my thumbs.
Yeah.
Twiddle my thumbs while
Texting on her sendings down.
my sendings is down.
That's a problem with today's youth. Always on their stones.
153-year-old youth.
All of you combined.
Eventually, you are able to get through this area without incident. There were a few close calls. Eclipse. Every time you step onto kind of an elevated area, like out of the water, you're just covered in leeches. Like you're constantly just picking them off.
Presentation.
Nobody else seems to have any on them.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to climb on top of Rax at this point.
Rax just can wear you like a boa.
Yeah.
Curl around your neck.
If you're gonna wear fur, it might as well be alive. But yeah, you're able to get out of this area. Snakes, for some reason, they just seem to love you.
Yeah, that's the second time.
Yeah, you're always getting hit by snakes.
Like spaghetti. You just suck them up.
Yeah, every time a snake gets close to Eclipse, Rax just like snatches it and eats it.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, you make your way through the raised hills, and that takes the first day and a half of your trip. Stopping to make camp at the driest place you can, and then the next day you continue on, and you get north of the raised hills, and it's more open country, a lot more dry. Not this standing water everywhere.
Yes.
And eventually, you come to a. You all start to hear the sound of rushing water. Very strong current. It becomes louder and louder until you get to what looks to be a wide kind of ravine with a bridge going across it. The bridge itself, as is the ravine, looks to be maybe 500-600 feet wide. You can just barely make out the other side of the ravine through the mist. And down below, you can see that this water is just rushing white rapids with lots of these dark, glistening, black, jagged stones sticking up out of it. The bridge itself looks old but sturdy. And it kind of disappears into the mist. Quick inspection of the head of the bridge reveals that parts of it are made of stone. The bridge itself is made of ropes and wood, but where it is attached to the edge of the ravine, there's a lot of stonework, and it's engraved with Dwarven runes.
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 Runes. Anybody speak or read Dwarven?
No.
Elvish.
Useful.
No Dwarvish speakers?
I
Wow.
don't think so. No.
Can I meditate on the bridge?
I can't even read common.
Do you have like an insight or something?
Your insight would tell you that it's Dwarvish.
No, like what's further down the bridge, like what I can't see. I've seen the movie Mist, man, so I'm not just gonna. I've seen the shadow play Mist.
Yeah, give me. Well, this would be a. I'm just gonna call it straight up intelligence roll.
Hey, wait. Go ahead.
Well, you know, it's a 16.
17.
You have a -1 to intelligence.
Good job, buddy.
You kind of like stop your team and it's like, let me take a look. And you
I just learned some really cool magic. I'm not going to use it though.
you like approach the stonework. It's kind of, it's Dwarvish, all right.
That's dwarfish.
What you know about dwarves? Typically good builders, and if they built this bridge, it's probably good to go.
This bridge is extremely dangerous. We should keep walking.
Oh yeah.
I expect you to be
check.
like, this
I trust
is a
dwarves.
bridge. Like,
I'm gonna go across the bridge.
Yeah, I trust
Yeah.
the dwarves.
While Eclipse is kind of like just hemming and hawing, you're just like move,
Move.
and you set forth onto the bridge. It seems sturdy.
Cool. I'm gonna go across the bridge.
Doesn't seem, in any sense, no more dangerous than the water below.
Right.
In many ways, a lot less.
I'm gonna guess so.
So you make your way across. The rest of the team, you see Mujrifa just kind of just heading out. Seems fine.
Does he disappear into the mist as he keeps walking?
Do you let him? Do you wait that
How
long?
far is?
It looks to be maybe 500-600 feet across.
Oh, okay, nah.
You can make out the shadow of the other side of the ravine, but it's not clear
Yeah.
as the mist kind of pervades.
I will wait till he's about 30, 40 feet. Then I will go.
Okay.
Just in case the bridge falls.
I mean, I'm like second in command, so like, if this kills you, man, I need to
I
Get a
here.
promotion.
I'll go with them.
Promotion.
But because I don't trust Mist ever,
Yep.
can I run perception as I go?
Oh, yeah.
I trust the bridge. I don't trust Mist.
Meh.
Is there a shard on there? 10.
The mist seems wet.
Yeah.
It's almost as if it's made of like tiny particles of water.
Fascinating.
I'm gonna breathe the mist in real deep.
Yeah. I breathe in the mist. I make the mist part of me.
Nice humidifier.
So as the team heads out onto the bridge, you get maybe 150, 200 feet onto it. The entire bridge.
We all.
You know, like every once in a while, you kind of look over the edge. You know,
I'm not doing that.
Look straight ahead.
you just see the rushing water below, and it looks to be about, 60, 70 feet below the bridge.
Yeah.
I have my eyes closed and just hold on to Jaren's hand, let him just guide me through.
Okay.
Water's scary. Russian water is scary.
As soon as I get on the bridge, I don't stop running.
Wait, are any of you vampires?
Oh, I try to walk across.
You have to tell me if you are.
Bad news.
I actually keep dirt at the bottom of my shoes so I can walk across this easily.
You don't wear shoes.
True. Got me there.
Wait a gosh darn minute.
What do you think?
Failed a deception check.
It's as you make your way across, you find yourselves engulfed in the mist.
Yes. Yes.
You can see maybe like 40 feet ahead of you, 50 feet. But the bridge seems sturdy. You assume that it's not like incomplete or anything.
Never felt stronger.
I breathe in the mist.
Thinking about sunshine and dry land.
And simultaneously,
What do you say?
you all hear a deep, unsettling hiss.
Yes. Thank Jesus.
That hiss is joined by 7 others.
Yes.
Jaron, please tell me what that is.
Not
Just
all. Not all.
As you feel a slight jolt in the bridge,
Oh yes.
and several shapes appear on either side, kind of lifting up out of the mist. They appear to be several seemingly identical reptilian heads on serpentine necks.
There's your Hydra.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Hail Hydra.
And with that, we will end today's session.
I'm gonna. And that looks ridiculous.
And it's just me.